Nearly forgot my tripods. Tripods. Alright. Okay, got the tripods. Let's go. Wow, it's amazing how quickly I regret bringing out 7 tripods with me. So soon, I've literally just left the car park. The sensible thing would have been to stay at home in the office and showed you all the tripods, talked about them. But I thought, no, I can make a video more interesting than that. I'll come out, I'll take some photographs and I'll test out this tripod with some heavy camera equipment on it. So here we are. You can probably hear all my tripods smashing against each other. Look, got 2 hanging on the back, got another one in the side pocket. I'm carrying another one. There is a point to this video, just bear with me. So I've come out to a woodland in the South Downs National Park to photograph or revisit a photograph of a lone tree which is just on the hills. I'll show you when I get there. Now if the weather conditions don't turn out for me at sunset today, that's fine because I have been here a bunch of times, so I might have to put in some of my previous images. And if you see any drone footage, I have not brought the drone because I brought 7 tripods with me, so any drone footage was also taken at a previous sunrise. So this video is actually instigated by a company that got in touch with me. They're called K&F, and they said, Ben, how would you like to review one of our travel tripods? I thought, K&F? And it turns out they are also known as K&F Concept, which I think most people have heard of. So I said, yes, I would love to have a go on one of your travel tripods. I'm intrigued, so yeah, please send me one. And that is what the camera is attached to right now. So I have been using this for the last, say, 5 to 6 weeks for different purposes. I'm going to run you through this tripod, but you know me, I don't like to do one thing at a time. I like to multitask. So today I'm going to be giving you just some general tips and tricks when it comes to buying tripods, how to use them, which tripods work for me, which ones to avoid. Seeing a few poppies here makes me think, where the hell are all the poppy fields this year? I've not seen a single poppy field in East Sussex. There are some Chichester way, but we're spoilt for poppy fields normally around here. I'll get my longer lens out, but that's essentially composition is over that way. Look at the light, side lighting on the hills over there. Let's talk about tripods. Now the reason that I brought this tripod to this specific location is because this is a long lens scene. Now today I've got my Canon EOS R with the EF 100-400, my heaviest camera lens combo. And coincidentally, that is what K&F advertised this tripod being used for on their website, although they've got the 100-400 RF version, which might be lighter. Anyway, the instruction manual says that it's capable of holding 8 kilograms, and this travel tripod weighs just over 1 kilogram. And the reason I'm excited about this tripod is because when you make YouTube videos, especially about photography, you have to lug around 2 tripods. One for the stills camera and one for the video camera. So the idea of transporting the lightest tripod I think I've ever held, that's going to be convenient for me. With a light tripod, it's normally a downside. It means it's not capable of holding heavy equipment and it's not going to be sturdy. That's what we're going to test out today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, let's just talk about tripods in general. My first piece of advice would be, even if you've just got one camera, but especially if you've got multiple cameras, is to get into the Arca Swiss plate mount. Now an Arca Swiss plate, this is a Peak Design one, will look something like that on the bottom of your camera. On an L bracket, it will look something like that. This is what's known as an Arca Swiss. Now the reason why I like Arca Swiss so much is because if you got the Peak Design clip, you can just clip that on here and your hands free. If you want to take a photograph and you need to put it on a tripod, you can just put that on there, tighten that up. And if you've got multiple tripods and they've all got Arca Swiss plates, you can literally just go between your tripods, and then when you don't want it on a tripod, just clip it on there. That is why I'm all about Arca Swiss plates. Now before I got into Arca Swiss plates, this is one of my first and my oldest tripods, the Manfrotto 190 CF, which is carbon fibre. I spent maybe £500 on this, and this has lasted me nearly 8 or 9 years. Now the ironic thing is that I spent loads of money getting lightweight carbon fibre legs, so from down here it's lightweight, but up here it's got a very heavy geared head on it, and that's because I do a lot of architectural photography, so that is something that's going to come in handy. Now if you're doing a lot of architectural photography or landscape photography, you're going to want a very, very strong, sturdy tripod for those windy days. Like, it's quite windy right now, it's picking up a bit, but if you were down on the seafront in the wind, your tripod is in the water, in the waves, you need a very, very sturdy tripod that's not going to vibrate around. So that is why I've held on to this for nearly 8 or 9 years. You need to figure out which type of head you want to go on your tripod. This is a geared head, and the reason that this is good for architectural photography is that you can control each of the axes. And the reason it's geared is because it's not just on or off. You can tighten it up a bit. You can tighten these up depending on the weight of your lens. So sometimes if you accidentally loosen this and you've got a heavy camera setup, your tripod would just go whoop, like that. That's why you want a geared head. But the downside to this is that it's a Manfrotto plate. This doesn't get used as much as my others, although it's a very, very good tripod. I would recommend this. Another important consideration is how high things come up. Now, I am 6 foot something. I'm not 6 foot something. I'm the same height as Tom Cruise, probably. I don't know. You can see how high this comes up without raising the central column whatsoever. You raise this up, your camera is way up above your head, so you're going to need a flip screen or something to even see what you're doing. But that is a solid setup. But ideally, you want to be taking photographs without the central column up, and that is a solid setup right there. So the model number of the tripod that they've sent me is the BA225 carbon fibre travel tripod. This is the tripod that I normally use for my landscapes, which is a Manfrotto 290 Extra, nothing special, and I've got a I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is a solid ball head. And as you can see here, the travel tripod that they've sent me needs to fully extend the central column in order to match that, but that's what you get with travel tripods. Another consideration is what type of leg mechanism you want. Now, I quite like these locking mechanisms that you get on Manfrottos and several other things. You can see here, mine's got seawater, sea salt in it, and you have to maintain these things, otherwise they become a bit stiff. My preference would be to have these type of knuckle locking mechanisms on the legs. Right, there is no image stabilization on the camera or the lens, that's all switched off. The tripod is having to do all of the work keeping this steady, and there is a light breeze, you can see everything moving around me, and this is shooting at 135mm at the moment, and I'm doing a 1.5 minute exposure. F11, ISO 100, 10 stop, magnetic HMY filter, polarizer, and a 2-stop soft edge grad. There you go, I told you there'd be some landscape photography in this video as well. Okay, I'm just finishing up my last long exposure, but it has successfully taken multiple long exposures, some up to 2 minutes long, and I'm happy to say that they are sharp. Pretty impressive. Now that I've just demonstrated that this tripod can hold this equipment, I'm going to suggest that you don't do that, because this is not the right tool for the job. I think that something like a 24 to 105 or something slightly smaller is going to be much better suited to using this tripod. Realistically, if I go out with this setup, I'm going to be using one of my bigger, heavier tripods, but the right tool for the job. This is a travel tripod. If I'm not traveling, then I'm going to be using a different tripod. But I have proven that it can take the weight of my biggest camera lens combo. Right, now what I was saying earlier is, I personally am not a massive fan of the twisty legs that you get on small travel tripods. I bought one about 5 years ago from 3-Legged Thing. I didn't bring that out with me today. I use it for one of my studio lights in the home office. So at the moment, all these are locked, and you can see from the size of them, you can grab all 4 of them and extend them all in one hit. And the good thing about this is, you've only got to turn it that much. That's about quarter of a turn. So from going from tight to loose, that's a really small turn, which is good because what you want is a quick setup. So in its smallest fold away position, you will see it's like that. That's its smallest folding position, which is pretty small. but this has a competitor. So if you go on the internet and you type in travel tripod, the chances are you'll find this, which is the Peak Design travel tripod. Now, I bought this probably a year ago, very happy with it. This is not the carbon fibre one. Now these two, although they are both travel tripods, very different price bracket. Now at the time of making this video, this carbon fibre tripod from K&F is £77.69 with free shipping to the UK. This Peak Design one is £256, and then they add tax and shipping on top of that, so that might be closer to £300. Although these are both travel tripods, this one is 4 times the price of this one, and this is not carbon fibre. If you want the carbon fibre Peak Design travel tripod, it's £439 plus taxes and shipping, so let's just call that £500. So if you want the equivalent travel tripod by Peak Design, £500, £75. So once I've got the tripod out, let me give you a quick tour. It's got Arca Swiss plate on the top, and what I do like about it is you can undo all of the legs in one go, like the K&F, but this is a little bit quicker. You can chuck that down there like that, and then you just go round. There you go. Now once you've got it set up, you can see here that is just coming to the center of my chest. That's the height difference between the K&F and the Peak Design travel tripod. There's probably 20 centimeters in it. One of the advantages that the K&F has got over the Peak Design is that it's got this fully functioning ball head. So you can undo that and you can turn it, and this one gives you full rotation of the ball head. The Peak Design one, because it is so compact, when you extend all of the legs, the ball head is actually tucked into the top of the tripod. So right now I can't even level the Peak Design tripod. So I put my camera in there, and quite simply that is fixed in its position. In order to turn it or rotate it, you have to raise the central column. Because of its design, these things tuck in here, but you have to raise the central column just enough so that you can get the ball head out and moving. Do you think I'm going to be able to get it to go down in one go? Here we go. Close. So this weighs 1.56 kilograms and the K&F weighs 1.02 kilograms. So this is 50% heavier. It feels even heavier than that for some strange reason because it's so compact, but yeah, 50% heavier, 4 times the price. Now I tend to have the central column raised up just by the size of my hand like that. Camera goes on there obviously, and then what I do is I extend the first leg out, and what that does is it perfectly balances out the weight of a camera that goes on top of it. So now that I've got my camera out here like so, I've got the central column raised up, I've got the legs down like that, and I've got my camera up here. Back in the olden days, before mechanical motorized gimbals, you would get something called a glide cam. So for the last couple of YouTube videos, quite simply I've had it on the tripod using it for kind of a glide cam, and then when you want to put it down, obviously I can just extend out the legs and I can put it down here. Alternatively, I can extend out all the legs. There you go, and now I'm making a video. And that is why I've just been enjoying using this the whole time, because this is doing multiple things. This is acting as a secondary tripod. It's as lightweight as any tripod is going to get. Plus, it can just about get up to eye level so that I can be making YouTube videos. Yes, so this does come apart and become a monopod. I should have read the instructions before I left, but I don't think you do that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to cut back to you at home because I think I might just break this. Right, okay, in order to convert this from a tripod into a monopod, I wasn't actually far off when I was out in the woods. So you just undo this central section, take top section off, unscrew the leg with the orange band on it, and then this goes on the central section, and there you go. That is how you make it into a monopod. I did give them some feedback regarding the feet. These feet are plastic, and whenever I was filming inside my house on a tiled floor or a timber floor, this was not gripping as much as I would like it to be, so I suggested to them that they should make these rubber. And the second thing is that I don't know whether or not it's just the model that I've got, but when you tighten this, it just seems to move your composition just a tiny amount. I think with a lighter camera it's not going to make as big a difference because I'm not actually cranking it up as hard when I've got a lighter camera and lens combination. But other than that, If you're looking for a travel tripod, I can highly recommend this. I mean, it's lightweight and it's cheap, but it's not cheap build quality. It's carbon fibre. Everything about it is actually very, very well made. I'm going to be using this as my second tripod for all of my YouTube videos moving forward. So there you go. If that's not a recommendation, I don't know what is. Because I brought them out with me, I've got a few other mini tripods that I thought I would talk you through whilst we're just making this entire tripod video. First of all, obviously you can't miss out the Pixie, the Manfrotto, I think it's called the Pixie. Yeah, the Manfrotto Pixie. This thing can hold a lot of weight, so if you need a tabletop tripod, consider getting the Manfrotto Pixie. That's that one. For vlogging, no doubt you've seen the Gorillapods. Now, I bought this a few years ago. It's had a lot of use out of it. Some people say that they start to kind of creep after a while. If you put a heavy camera on it, yeah, it will start to move a little bit, and I've used this a lot. Very sturdy, it can hold a full frame camera with a heavy-ish lens, but the reason I don't use this that much anymore is because when you do manipulate it around a tree or a branch or something, so you'll wrap it up, you'll cripple it all up like this and wrap it around a handrail or something, and then you'll finish a shot, and you can't put that back in your camera bag, and you can't put it down on a table. So inevitably, to get this straight again so that you can put it back on a table takes a lot longer than you might think. So on that basis, I probably wouldn't recommend a Joby Gorillapod for photography or filming, because it's supposed to be convenient and you can just attach it to anything, but in reality it's a bit of a faff and I don't ever do it. So for those reasons, the Gorillapod does not get much use anymore, but I've switched it out for this. This is called the Switchpod. It can take plenty of weight, so I've got an EOS R here with a 16-35, and quite simply it gives you just a little bit more reach. So if you're going to get into vlogging, this right here is the alternative to having a second tripod. If you don't want to put the camera down, then you have a Switchpod like this. You take the camera off, you put it on a clip, you put it back on this like so, and if you're shooting indoors, then quite simply you can just flick the legs out and you've got a mini tripod. Not only does it give you a bit more reach, but it also makes your shots a little bit more stable, so you can actually hold it with two hands. If I just hold it with one hand, you can get a bit more reach like this, but it's not as stable. But if you have a camera without built-in stabilization, getting a mini tripod like this is going to help you a lot. Plus, it kind of flicks out and becomes a miniature tripod, and you can put it down. If you're getting into YouTube and you need a mini tripod for your filming, I could recommend the Switchpod as well. Right, well, I think that's it. You can see the sun has well and truly gone down. It's no longer on my scene, and I'm out of tripods. That's literally all of the tripods that I own. Probably own too many tripods anyway, but thank you to K&F for sending me out this tripod. The conclusion is, very good tripod. I would recommend. I'm going to be keeping it and I'm going to be using it. Thank you very much. If anybody out there watching this has got any questions about any of the tripods in this video, yeah, let me know in the comments below. Even if you're not interested in any of these tripods, hopefully I've given you a few tips and tricks regarding what you should look for when you're buying a tripod. This is all trial and error. This is 10 or 15 years worth of taking photographs and video, and I've made some bad investments and I've made some good ones. Just passing on this wisdom. You're welcome. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.